Good evening. This is the 36th meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council is now called to order. Please turn off all cell phones or put them on vibrate. Tonight's invocation will be led by Pastor Corey Barnes and Pastor Bob Bingham of Great City, Baltimore. If everyone would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, City Council President. On behalf of Great City Church and Pastor Bob Bingham, we thank you for this invitation. Let us pray. Dear gracious and eternal Father, we thank you for the opportunity and the privilege to assemble and to be in this place and to experience your abundant blessing of life, health, and strength. Thank you for freedom to gather and to pray for those who are called to lead our community in which we live, work, and play. Thank you for giving each member a heart and a mind to serve and the ability and responsibility and the privilege to steward our community by standing in the gap for those who can't stand for themselves, being a voice for those who are voiceless, and being the embodiment of righteousness for those whose wrong has been done wrong. Father, we ask that the hearts of our mayor, city council president, and the city council members reflect the heart of their constituents, but more importantly, let the decisions being made reflect your heart you have for your people. We know that through the Holy Scriptures in which you declare that we should act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. We invoke your presence and we ask, in the noisiness of passion of political discourse, let us not lose respect and honor for one another as colleagues and friends and people we love and serve beside. We ask for your wisdom to make decisions that are right and true to all citizens of Baltimore. We ask for courage to protect, to respect the least among us, our children, elderly, disabled, and homeless. We ask for strength to act on behalf of justice and righteous, even when the face of difficult and hard decisions. We ask for patience to listen, to hear the pains and the cries and the disappointments and failures of our constituents and colleagues as we go about our daily tasks. Let all this be said and done in importance and vital meeting guided by the spirit of justice, mercy, and love, so our citizens can experience the peace, the shalom of God, that nothing would be missing and nothing would be broken.
And we continue in prayer. God of all creation, thank you on behalf of all that are gathered here today. Thank you for life itself and for the measure of health we have to fulfill our callings and for the friendships in this room. Thank you for the capability to be involved in valuable work and for the great honor of representing others in our city. In the scriptures, you've said that governing authorities are to promote peace and justice, equity and inclusion. Therefore, I pray for our mayor and in particular for this assembled city council. Scripture asks that you would create in us clean hearts, so we ask that same miracle this evening. Would you bless the members of this council with the wisdom to govern across the divisions in our city, with hearts attuned to the flourishing of all, with souls that comprehend their personal need to continually grow in their understanding, with minds to know the authentic needs of our people, and strength to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly as they proceed this day. I pray for the agenda before us today. Bless all here assembled with understanding for what is good under heaven and with growing maturity to join together across any lines that would divide us, so that they would produce just and good results for all those who live, work, and grow up in our beloved city of Baltimore. And Father, as the scriptures promise, when adjournment arrives later tonight, would you surely follow the path of each one of these assembled with goodness and mercy as they go back to their homes and districts to do your will. It is in your most blessed name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank both of you. The clerk will call the roll of the members.
President Young, Cohen, Scott, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Stokes, Snead, Clark. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
This evening, we welcome Melissa Moore, a family lead of Baltimore. Tell us about the great work that they're doing.
All right, good evening. My name is Melissa Moore.
I'm Kara Panowitz. I'm from No Kid Hungry, Maryland.
And you wouldn't know it by the weather that we've been having the past couple of weeks, but summer is right around the corner, And the last day of school is June 19th. That means summer programming and summer meals start on June 20th.
How many of you have heard of the free summer meals program? Raise your hand. Awesome.
Yeah. So last year, Baltimore City served over 1.3 million meals to over 400 sites in the city. And we're looking forward to another big year, but we're gonna need your help.
So we've done really well in Baltimore City, but there's a lot more children who can be reached with meals. So we left a couple things for you. One is a pair of sunglasses, because they're fun, and we wanted you to listen to us. Please wear them all the time. Think of us and meals fondly. And then there's 2 handouts. The larger one explains what the Summer Meals program is and how it operates. The smaller one with the watermelon face on it tells people how to find the closest free summer meals site to them. And any kid 18 or under can go to any of these sites and get a meal without any ID. So we would love for you to talk to your communities, let them know that they can serve summer meals. You can serve them at parks, rec centers, faith-based institutions, any place you want to serve them, you can. And 2, please let your families know that this is available for kids over the summer. Every day there is a site that they can go to get a free meal.
So we will be having a kickoff event the first week of the program, and we'll be sending out an invitation for that. But you're more than welcome to visit any site in your district, and we can send you more information about the sites that are in your districts later this week.
So thank you guys very much for letting us talk, and we hope we'll see you at Summer Meal Site this summer.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
What you do, and if you could send the link with this information, we'll put it on our website.
Thank you.
You can send that to lester.davis@baltimorecity.gov. Thank you. It is the council custom to journalize the application. Ask for a motion to journalize the prayer. Motion by Councilman Costello, second by Councilman Scott. I got to do it over? Okay. It is the council custom to journalize the invocation. Ask for a motion to journalize the prayers. Motion by Councilman Costello, second by Councilman Scott. All those in favor of journalize the invocation say aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and this motion is adopted. Approval of the journal. We'll now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of the proceedings from the May 14th City Council meeting is on council members'
Is
desks.
there a motion to approve the journal? Motion by Councilman Henry, second by Councilman Cohen. All those in favor of adopting the journal say aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carried and the journal is adopted. Bill signed by the mayor can be found on page 2 and 3 of the agenda. Bills to be introduced.
City Council Bill 18-0249, sale of property, 222 West Reed Street. For the purpose of authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interests in certain property known as 222 West Reed Street, Block 0503, Lot 012, and no longer needed for public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0250, sale of property, 2200 Sinclair Lane. For the purpose of authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interests in certain property known as 2200 Sinclair Lane, Block 4199, Lot 001, and no longer needed for public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President on behalf of the administration.
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0251, obstructing traffic in an intersection, $125 fine. For the purpose of changing the fine for obstructing or impeding the free flow of traffic within an intersection or a marked crosswalk from $250 to $125, clarifying and conforming related provisions, and generally relating to fines for obstructing or impeding the free flow of traffic. Sponsors, President Young, Dorsey, Bullock, Pinkett, Cohen, Clark, Stokes, Middleton, Sneed.
Please note that Councilman Scott is also co-sponsored Councilman Burnett. Most of you know that the Department of Transportation issued a press release that they were going to be charging $90 for stopping in the box, which would include a point on people's license. And we sit down and talked to them and told them we didn't want them to do any of that. And then they came back and said that would be without a point. I don't trust that because I don't know whether we are subject to that law if it's $90 and the state have to take care of that. So we looked at the code and there was already a law on the books that said $250. So I cut it in half and it would be the city operating it outside of the state so that it wouldn't be no points assessed on our citizens' record. I want to thank all the co-sponsors. Please note that Councilman Schleifer is a co-sponsor, and this has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0252 Urban Renewal York Woodburn Business Area Amendment. For the purpose of amending the urban renewal plan for York Woodburn Business Area to reauthorize the acquisition of properties within the project area, waiving certain contact and procedural requirements, making the provisions of this ordinance severable, providing for the application of this ordinance in conjunction with certain other ordinances, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors Henry.
Chair recognizes, this has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0253, City Property, naming the footbridge over Stony Run to be the Amy Mickle Footbridge. For the purpose of naming the footbridge located approximately 100 feet north of University Parkway over Stony Run to be the Amy Mickle Footbridge. Sponsors Clark, President Young, Costello, Henry, Pinkett, Dorsey, Bullock, Cohen, Stokes, Middleton, Sneed.
Please note that Councilman Scott is a co-sponsor, Councilman Schleifer is a co-sponsor. Any more co-sponsors? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, and thank you for all the co-sponsors, really in recognition of the work of State Delegate Maggie McIntosh with our City Council through the sessions in Annapolis. This is her sister, her younger sister, who died a couple years ago suddenly and tragically, but who lived with Maggie and who went to visit this bridge as it was being built every day, and then after it was built. So thank you very much for this tribute to the family. Amy was a very important member, and she died too young.
Thank you, Councilwoman Clark. This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0254, Property Tax Credit, School Public Safety Officers. For the purpose of extending the property tax credit provided for public safety officers employed by certain agencies to also include public safety officers employed by the Baltimore City Public School System, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors Costello, Scott, President Young, Bullock, Pinkett, Cohen, Clark, Middleton, Stokes, Sneed.
Please note that Councilman Henry is the co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill is just an amendment to the bill that we passed last year, which would extend this property tax credit to Baltimore City public schools police officers. As you all are aware, we've already authorized this after enabling legislation in Annapolis for Baltimore City Police, Baltimore City Fire, and Baltimore City Sheriff. Hope to have your support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-
This has been assigned to the Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0255, rezoning certain properties in the Old Goucher community. For the purpose of changing the zoning for certain properties in the Old Goucher community as outlined in red on the accompanying plat from the OR1 zoning district to the C1 zoning district. Sponsors Stokes, President Young.
Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Mr. President, certain properties in Old Goucher, then when they did the transform Baltimore, the one block of Old Goucher was still at a OR1, so we just changed it to C1. Thank you.
Well, thank you. This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0256, zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 3 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, variances 1747 East Lombard Street. For the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 3 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district on the property known as 1747 East Lombard Street, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, and granting variances from certain bulk regulations, lot area size, off-street parking, and gross floor area requirements. Sponsors Sneed, President Young.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0257, zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 4 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, variances 310 East Lanvale Street. For the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 4 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, on the property known as 310 East Landvale Street, Block 1103, Lot 050, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, and granting variances from certain bulk and yard and off-street parking requirements. Sponsors Stokes, President Young.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0258, zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, variance 417 East Lafayette Avenue, for the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district on the property known as 417 East Lafayette Avenue, Block 1104, Lot 024, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, and granting a variance from certain off-street parking requirements. Sponsors Stokes, President Young.
This has been assigned to the Land Use and Transportation Committee. Chair recognize, see what this is now. It's enough of that. Chair recognize, Chair, it got a little dark there. Chair recognize Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You got to pick up the mic.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to move to suspend the appropriate rules so that a city council bill can be introduced from the floor.
Second by Councilman Scott. All those in favor of suspending the rules to allow for the introduction of this city council bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. The bill can be introduced and will be City Council Bill 18-0259.
City Council Bill 18-0259, Fire Code repealing Appendix D, for the purpose of amending the City Fire Code to repeal Appendix D, fire apparatus access roads, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors Dorsey.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appendix D of the International Fire Code is an optional appendix that jurisdictions may adopt. It is one of many appendixes to the Fire Code. Currently in Baltimore, about half of them are adopted, half of them are not adopted. This would just simply move this from the adopted column to the non-adopted column. It requires certain street design standards that cannot apply to a majority of the streets in Baltimore City, and I appreciate the support of my colleagues on this bill.
Okay. Please note that Council President Young co-sponsor, Councilman Stokes, Councilman Burnett, Councilwoman Clark, Councilman Henry, Council Vice President Middleton, Councilman Pinkett, and Councilman Cohen. Any more co-sponsors? Oh, and Councilwoman Sneed. Okay. This has been assigned to the Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee. Resolution introduced.
City Council Resolution 18-0088R, recognizing June as Elder Abuse Awareness Month. For the purpose of recognizing June as Elder Abuse Awareness Month, urging all Baltimoreans to learn the signs of elder abuse, and calling on the public to join with government at all levels to help eliminate the unconscionable mistreatment of elders in our communities. Sponsors Middleton, President Young, Bullock, Henry, Pinkett, Cohen, Sneed.
Please note Councilman Stokes is a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes and Councilman Burnett, Councilwoman Clark as a co-sponsor, Councilman Scott. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you all council members for signing on to this bill. June is traditionally designated to raise awareness for abuse for the elderly, and I wanted us to make sure we recognize this month of June in protecting our elderly. Sadly, we have many cases of abuse in this city in the hands of family, and it's different kinds of abuse. It could be physical, financial, and emotional abuse. And we do have a elder abuse hotline number called SAFE, which stands for Stop Abuse of Elderly, and that number is 410-234-0030. So please always check on our elderly and seniors, and also pay attention to some of our senior facilities. And if you find any elderly being abused, please make use of this hotline. Thank you. And that for immediate adoption, yes, I'd like to suspend the rules for immediate adoption of this bill.
All those in favor of suspend the rules for immediate adoption of this resolution, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Middleton.
Again, thank you all for signing on, and the elder abuse hotline number again is 410-234-0030.
Second by Councilman Scott.
for
All those in
adoption.
favor of adopting resolution 18-0088R, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This resolution is adopted. Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to move to suspend the rules for immediate adoption for another.
Second by Councilman Scott.
Resolution.
All those in favor of suspend the rules to allow for the introduction of this resolution, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended, and the resolution can be introduced, and will be City Council Resolution 18-0089R.
City Council Resolution 18-0089R, National HIV Testing Day, Test Your Way, Do It Today. For the purpose of observing National HIV Testing Day on June 27, 2018, and encouraging all Baltimoreans between the ages of 13 and 64 to get tested for HIV at least once as part of routine health care. Sponsors Middleton.
Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
And again, this is National HIV Testing Month, and we do have a special day, and we recognize this month every year, and it's important to let the public know that we do have free testing in this city through the health department. They also have a van that you can arrange to have at block parties and so on, and there is a Baltimore City AIDS hotline number, which is 410-945-2437. It's important to get tested. We know that people live longer once they find that they are HIV and you get treated. And again, please, this is important for your health. And again, if you want more information, you can feel free to contact the health department.
Any co-sponsors? Council President Young is co-sponsor. Councilman Scott, Councilman Henry, Councilman Corn, Councilman Dorsey, Councilman Pinkett, Councilman Schleifer, Councilwoman Sneed, Councilwoman Clark, Councilman Bullock, Councilman Burnett. Now you want to move to suspend the rules for immediate adoption.
I'd like to move to suspend the rules for immediate adoption.
Second by Councilman Scott. All those in favor of suspend the rules for immediate adoption of this resolution, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. The rules are suspended. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Middleton.
Thank you again, and that hotline number is 410-945-2437 for help with AIDS or getting HIV tested.
So you want to move it now? You got to still move it.
I'd like to move.
Second by Councilman Scott. All those in favor of adopting resolution 18-0089R, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. This resolution is adopted. You can find the consent calendar, section A at the back of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Motion by Henry, second by Scott. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. This calendar is approved. We now move the bills on second reader. Budget and Appropriation Committee. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'd like to make a motion to read short titles for the remainder of the meeting.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of doing short title for the remainder of the hearing, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carried. Will be doing short titles.
Thank you. City Council Bill 18-0235, Supplementary State Fund Operating Appropriation, Health Department, $239,511.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. We held a hearing on the bill. I move the bill favorably.
Second by Councilman Pinkett. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion to approve this bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0236, Supplementary State Fund Operating Appropriation, Health Department, $465,000.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. We held a committee hearing on this bill. I move the bill favorably.
Second by Councilman Pinkett. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion to approve this bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0237, Supplementary Federal Fund Operating Appropriation, Health Department, $1,059,448.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. We held the committee hearing on this bill. I move the bill favorably.
Second by Councilman Pinkett. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0201, Waterfront Management District Exemption from Supplemental Tax.
Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Housing and Urban Affairs Committee heard 3 bills on May 15th, and will be moving all 3 favorable with technical amendments. The amendments are on your desk, and I move the amendments favorable.
Second by Councilman Cohen. All those in favor of approving these amendments, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill is amended. Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Yeah, so the first bill is 18-0201. So I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Councilman Cohen. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0206, City Streets Opening Eastbourne Avenue in a 10-foot alley.
Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, we also heard this bill on the 15th. There are amendments on your desks. I move the amendments favorable.
Second by Councilman Schleifer. All those in favor of approving these amendments, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. The bill is amended. Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Councilman Schleifer. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0207, City Streets Closing Eastbourne Avenue in a 10-foot alley.
Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are amendments on your desks, and I move the amendments favorable.
Second by Councilman Schleifer. All those in favor of approving these amendments, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill is amended. Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Councilman Schleifer. All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Land Use and Transportation.
City Council Bill 18-0231, RPP Area 24 Greenway Plan Amendment.
Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee heard the bill on May 23rd, 2018. The bill is being amended to delete certain language pertaining to visitor passes from the bill as suggested by the Parking Authority of Baltimore City. The amendment is on council members' desk. I move the amendment.
There are amendments. Where's Karen? Karen, I need to see you. She said there are amendments. Are there amendments to this? Because I don't see any amendments. Where are they? I don't see them.
The amendments are on council members' desks.
Underwear. All right, that's okay. That's good. Okay. Second by Councilwoman Clark.
Took out the mention
Right,
of.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I just didn't
Yes,
see it.
second the motion, please.
Okay, all those in favor of approving this bill say aye. All those opposed, nay. Please note that Councilman Dorsey is a no. This bill moves to third reader.
I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor of approving this bill as amended say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion to approve this bill moves to third reader. Please note that Councilman Dorsey is a no. Okay. Public Safety Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0204, Dangerous Knives, Commercial Display to Minors.
Chair recognizes Councilman Scott. That's you, right? Dangerous knives?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, the Public Safety Committee held a hearing for this bill on May the 15th. Before I go any further, I would like to turn it over to Council Vice President Middleton, the lead sponsor, for comment.
Okay. Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair of the Safety Committee, and just wanted to, first of all, thank all of my colleagues for signing on to this bill, and to also make note that sporting goods stores are not included in this bill, but we've had a serious problem throughout the city with dangerous knives that are under 3 inches with these fancy handles, and they're being placed in gas stations and those corner convenience stores mixed in with candy and cough drops and other types of things that minors pick up. So this bill will help in trying to, curb violence in our city and not entice our minors that are in neighborhoods that are in need, that this is the norm. And so thank you again for having this move along, and hopeful that the mayor will sign this, and then this will be another thing for our police department to, another tool for them to use to help in what they're trying to do in curbing violence in our city.
I recognize Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the council, there are technical amendments on your desk. I move the amendments favorable.
Second by Vice President Middleton. All those in favor of approving these amendments say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. The bill is amended. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Council Vice President Middleton. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader. Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee.
City Council Bill 18-0193, Food Desert Incentive Areas, Expenditure Requirements for Tax Credit.
Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill, the committee heard this bill on May 17th, 2018, and establishing a new minimum expenditure requirement for sustainably renovated supermarkets that is lower than the expenditure requirement or newly constructed supermarkets. The committee approved the bill as favorable. I move the bill with a favorable report.
Second by Councilman Pinkett. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader. Remember, silence is a yes.
City Council Bill 18-0208, Sale of Property, Former Bed of Eastbourne Avenue in a 10-foot alley.
Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
And the committee heard this bill also on May 17th, 2018, authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interests in certain parcels of land known as the former bed of Eastbourne Avenue. The committee approved the bill as favorable and offered amendments. The amendments are on council members' desks. The amendment corrects a typographical error in line 6 and changes 284 feet to 184 feet. I move the committee's two amendments.
Second by Councilman Pickett. All in favor of approving these amendments say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. The bill is amended. Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
And I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second by Councilman Pickett. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0211, Bond Issue, Affordable Housing Loan, $10 million.
Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you. Again, this is a citywide bill authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to create a debt and to issue and sell its certificates of indebtedness as evidence thereof, and proceeds not to exceed a certain amount from the sale of such certificates. And the committee approved the bill as favorable. I move the bill with a favorable report.
Second by Councilman Burnett. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0212, Bond Issue, School Loan, $38 million.
Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
And this bill was also heard on May 17th, 2018, and the committee approved the bill as favorable. I move the bill for favorable report.
Second by Councilman Cohen. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0213, Bond Issue, Community and Economic Development Loan, $47 million.
Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
The committee approved the bill as favorable. I move the bill with a favorable report.
Second by Councilman Stokes. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 18-0214, Bond Issue, Recreation Parks and Public Facilities Loan, $65 million.
Chair recognizes Council Vice President Middleton.
And the committee approved this bill as favorable. I move the bill with a favorable report.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor of approving this bill say aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion approved. This bill moves to third reader. Third reader for final passage.
City Council Bill 17-0119 RPP Area 9 Federal Hill exception for 819 and 821 Light Street. Oh, sorry. President Young, Cohen, Scott, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 18-0181 zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to two dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, 824 North Carrollton Avenue. President Young, Cohen, Scott, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 18-0196 environmental citations, default penalty. President Young, Cohen, Scott, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark.
This bill is approved. Clearing of the bill status. The clearing of the bill status can be found on page 14 of the agenda. Committee announcements. Committee announcements. No committee announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Judiciary and Legislative Investigations Committee will hold a hearing on Wednesday, June 13th at 4:30 p.m. on Bill 18-0216, City Property renaming Ambrose Kennedy Park to Henrietta Lacks Educational Park at the request of Councilmember Stokes. And also, as a reminder, the Budget and Appropriations Committee will continue budget hearings this evening at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers to discuss the state's attorney's request. Thank you.
Thank you. The City Council may consider the adoption of the fiscal year 2019 tax rate at the next meeting of the City Council. Regular announcements. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, members of the council, I rise to ask that Council Vice President Middleton honor a moment of silence for the now 116 victims of homicide in the city of Baltimore and the countless others that we've lost to the opioid epidemic in Baltimore.
Thank you. You can go ahead and do it. You can go ahead and do it.
And tomorrow, if you guys don't know, that the President's Cup, Council President's All-Star Baseball game will be at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. I believe it starts at
3 o'clock.
3 p.m. So please come see the Baltimore City children take on the MIAA. I know that Mervo will have a heavy delegation at the All-Star game, so I will be there to cheer them on.
Of course you will. For any more regular announcements? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark. Clark. Yeah.
Mr. President, members of the council, I just wish to take a moment to acknowledge the passing of a wonderful person, Pauline Mason, resident of Edna Gardens Lakeside, who worked in these halls for many a long year and brought a lot of joy with her when she did. She was the assistant to Councilman Anthony Ambridge for many, many years. And she was beloved, fun, just an extraordinary, skinny little lady who all of us who knew her loved her dearly. So I just, her family, almost all, they all work for St. Ambrose Housing Aid Center, I think, at least 2 or 3 generations, and everybody else in that family was there today to see her home. And I just wanted to not let the moment pass without, in this hall where she spread so much joy and did so much great work for the constituents, I wanted her to be acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you. And she was a great person. I had the privilege of working with Ms. Pauline Mason, and she was just so dedicated to the city and to the work. So I'm sorry I didn't know of her passing, because I would definitely been at her funeral. Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Just a moment of silence for Mr. John Murdoch, who worked with a lot of young men here in East Baltimore and West Baltimore, but Murdoch probably one of the few coaches that when you were in class, he just showed up and popped up in the class. He didn't have a car. He rode a bus, but he made sure you were getting your grades and made sure you were in class. And if you didn't, he went right to your parents and let them know that your grades weren't good and you were not in the classroom. So a moment of silence for John Murdoch.
While we on Councilman John Murdoch, Mr. Andre Barnhart was also a coach. Both of them were my coaches. Andre Barnhart coached me in baseball, and John Murdoch took all of the rejects from Mr. Lee and had all us play basketball for him and football. We played for the Ashland Bears at a time when we didn't have the uniforms that all of the other kids had. You know, they had all of this great uniform. We had some of the, I call it Paul Bear Bryant uniforms that we got from Morgan with the flaps. And this little guy hit me one time and knocked the wind out of me, and I said football wasn't for me. So I stopped playing. But he's a great person. You know, both of them. John Murdoch worked for Urban Service for many, many years, and he did not want to retire. They did some switching and was moving him somewhere else. I was able to talk with Mayor Blake at the time. They put him on the payroll for Rex and Parks, and she did that, and that's where he worked till his last days. He did not want to quit. He said children was his livelihood. He rode cabs too, Robert. And something special about this young man, about Mr. Murdoch, he's the first coach anywhere to take a team from Baltimore to Russia. And they went and they won. And then he brought the Russian team here to Baltimore. This man really epitomized what it really means to be a coach, a surrogate father, and he was just everything, you know. And like Councilman Stokes said, when you didn't expect to see him, he popped up in your school, talked to the teacher like he was your parent. I want to see his grades. Because if you didn't have good grades, you did not play. Okay? So I want you to recognize that too. It's Burnett, didn't you, Scott? Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council Vice President, could you, I'd like to request a moment of silence to the families impacted by the flooding on Beachfield and Beachfield community and surrounding communities last week, and just a prayer for their recovery.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilman Scott.
Sorry, Mr. President and colleagues. I have to add one more. I actually forgot to ask for a moment of silence for Captain Bernie Douglas from the police department, who passed away this weekend.
Yeah,
he had
Lieutenant
just retired. Bernard Douglas, yes, ma'am.
Did you say the opioid? Did you include the opioid when you said the murders? Okay. If there's no more announcement, Chair recognizes Vice President Middleton.
The next meeting of the City Council will be held on Monday, July 11th, 2018. And may we have a moment of silence for Pauline Mason, John Murdoch, Captain Bernard Douglas, all of the continued deaths on a daily basis of the opioid epidemic, and the 116 deaths to date from homicides. Didn't want to leave out the families that have been devastated from the floods in the Baltimore and metropolitan area. And of course, there was one counted death as well.
Thank you. There being no further business, this concludes the 36th meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council. Good night.